गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय निताय गौरंग जय निताय गौरंग निताय गौरंग जय निताय गौरंग जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, 10th chapter, text number 17. Daridrasyaiva yujyante Daridrasyaiva yujyante Sadhava samadarshinaha Sadhava samadarshinaha Sadbihi kshinoti tam tarsham Sadbihi kshinoti tam tarsham Tata arad vishuddhyati Tata arad vishuddhyati Daridrasyaiva yujyante Sadhava samadarshinaha Sadbihi kshinoti tam tarsham Tata arad vishuddhyati Daridrasyaiva yujyante Sadhava samadarshinaha Sadbihi kshinoti tam tarsham Tata arad vishuddhyati Daridrasyaiva yujyante Sadhava samadarshinaha Sadbihi kshinoti tam tarsham Tata arad vishuddhyati Daridrasyaiva yujyante sadhava samadarshinaha Shadbhikshinoti tam tarsham tata arad vishuddhyati. Please repeat word to word translation. Please repeat after me. Daridrasya, of a person who is poverty stricken. Eva, indeed. Yujyante, may easily associate. Sadhavaha, saintly persons. Samadarshinaha, although sadhus are equal to everyone, to the poor and the rich, the poor man can take advantage of their association. Sadbihi, by the association of such saintly persons. Kshinoti, reduces. Tam, the original cause of material suffering. Tarsham, the desire for material enjoyment. Tata, thereafter. Arat, very soon. Vishuddhyati, his material contamination is cleansed off. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Please repeat after me. Saintly persons may freely associate with those who are poverty stricken, but not with those who are rich. A poverty stricken man, by association with saintly persons, very soon becomes uninterested in material desires, and the dirty things within the core of his heart are cleansed away. Purport. It is said, Mahad Vichalanam Drunam Grihinam Dina Chetasam. Bhagavatam 10.8.4. The only business of a saintly person or sannyasi, a person in the renounced order, is to preach Krishna consciousness. Sadhus, saintly persons, want to preach to both the poor and the rich. But the poor take more advantage of the sadhus' preaching than the rich do. A poor man receives sadhus very quickly, offers them obeisances, and tries to take advantage of their presence. Whereas a rich man keeps a big greyhound dog at his door so that no one can enter his house. He posts a sign saying, "Beware of dog," and avoids the association of saintly persons, whereas a poor man keeps his door open for them, and thus benefits by their association more than a rich man does. Because Narada Muni, in his previous life, was poverty-stricken son of a maidservant, he got the association of saintly persons and later became the exalted Narada Muni. This was his actual experience. Therefore, he is now comparing the position of a poor man with that of a rich man. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hrutkarna rasayana kataha tajjoshanadashvapavarga vartmani shraddharathir bhaktir anukramishyati. Bhagavatam 3.25.25. If one gets the advantage of association with saintly persons, by their instructions, one becomes more and more purified of material desires. Krishna bahir mukha haya bhoga vanchakare nikatastha maya thare japatiya dhare. Material life means that one forgets Krishna and that one increases in one's desires for sense gratification. But if one receives the advantage of instructions from saintly persons and forgets the importance of material desires, one is automatically purified. Cheto darpanamarjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antyalila 20.12, Shikshashtaka 1. Unless the core of a materialist person's heart is purified, he cannot get rid of the pangs of Bhava Mahadava Agni, the blazing fire of material existence. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Agnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yenam Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namini Vaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pasyata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaurabhaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Saintly persons may freely associate with those who are poverty-stricken, but not with those who are rich. A poverty-stricken man, by association with saintly persons, very soon becomes uninterested in material desires, and the dirty things within the core of his heart are cleansed away. So we see here the importance of a devotee's association is outlined by Narada Muni in his preaching to Nalakuvara and Manigriva. There is actually no concept of spiritual advancement without the association of devotees. If somebody thinks, no, I need association of devotees, yes, then only I agree with you. But we need association of pure devotees. That's not the process. Just for example, Narada Muni itself. Narada Muni was a maidservant's son, right? He was just following his mother's instructions. His mother was a very simple woman. She was a single mother, and she was in a very poverty-stricken condition. But she had the desire to serve Vaishnavas, sadhus, who were assembled for during the rainy season. Right? They were all assembled in one place during Chaturmasya. And so she was just serving him, and Narada Muni saw what his mother was doing, and she was helping his mother. Simple, small young boy. And then by will of providence, when his mother was bitten by a snake and passes away, he just, just imagine, single small child, mother is gone, there's nobody in his life. But he just thought, okay, let me just follow my mother's instructions and what she was doing and just stay there and serve those sadhus. Within a short time, he became such an exalted devotee that he had the association of, he was able to see Krishna face to face. Right? And then he only saw him once. And then Krishna disappeared. And then when he tried multiple times to just repeat the same process, he got a message saying, you just do your sadhana and you will get sufficiently purified and you will be able to see me again. So Narada Muni, by serving those sadhus, not that those sadhus were more elevated than Narada Muni, maybe at that point in time when he was just serving them, but still just imagine, he was able to achieve something higher than those sadhus. Those sadhus might have been, we don't know the details of it, but the Bhagavatam doesn't say that, they were all exalted, pure devotees, this thing. That's not what it is saying. So one has to really learn the art of association amongst Vaishnavas. Because without that association, there is no progress in spiritual life. It is just, and if you think that I only will associate with pure devotees or elevated devotees or this thing, but the people around me has this problem, this thing, that thing. The problem is not with the people, the problem is with you and your runaway mind that you are given a lot of freedom to. Right? Because, one can always find different challenges with the different devotees and all that. But that is not the criteria. There is a reason why those devotees are put in our lives. Nothing is happening by chance in a devotee's life. If you have taken to Krishna consciousness and you have become serious to start chanting 16 rounds, you become even more serious and take initiation. At that point, Prabhupada and Krishna have taken full control of your life. Now it's a matter of whether you want to let them take control of your life or not. Narada Muni, when he's describing, what happened after, he was taking, there was one particular thing he was doing that that Narada Muni, when he remembers his life, he was saying that something he was doing that really helped him advance. Anybody remembers what he was doing? Huh? Yeah, he was taking the remnants of those sadhus. Right? He says, Uchishta lepan anumodito dvijaihi sakrutsma bunje tadapasta kilbisha evram pravrittasya vishuddha chetasa taddharma evatma ruchi prajayate. Once only. Once only. By their permission. So now don't run around, taking other people without their permission. Once only by their permission, I took the remnants of their food. And by so doing, all my sins were at once eradicated. Thus engaged in service, I became purified in heart. And at that time, the attraction for the transcendental lifestyle, bhakti dharma. So nicely says, tad dharma, Prabhupada is saying it is bhakti dharma. Ruchi prajayate. Ruchi means, there is a intense attraction. Like a deep taste. Without developing the higher taste, one cannot give up the lower taste. It's just not possible. It's just impossible. Now, in order to, in order for us to develop the higher taste, the question now becomes the chicken egg problem, right? Will I get a higher taste, then I can give up lower taste? Or, how do I, what should I focus on? Right? So, what is the answer? Anybody can share? Huh? Get higher taste. How will you get higher taste? By practicing Krishna consciousness, you'll get higher taste. And then the lower taste will go away. Huh? Sri Radha should go every day and have Sri Radha's prasad. So, just take those examples of how Prabhupada gave a solution to many devotees' problems and all that, right? See, there was many devotees share their experience. How when they came to Krishna consciousness, there was one devotee. He was so high on LSD, right? And he was literally on the streets. He'd almost become almost like an animal. He couldn't talk properly, one word, two words only. He'll just say one word, this thing, and his eyes were bulging, and was completely stoned. They say stoned, right? And his conversations were all one word, this thing, that thing, like that. That's it. Nothing else he could even talk. Practically like an animal. Disheveled and this. And in those days, anybody said, I want to join, they will just, come join. Sometimes I keep saying, we have made too many strict things. If Prabhupada they instituted policies what we do, nobody would join this movement. No, come join. And he joined, and he was causing a lot of disturbance. He would just suddenly do crazy things and all and this thing. And then the temple president told him, you just sit in this room and just chant. And they put him in that room, and he was just sitting there and he was chanting. And they'll bring prasadam to that place. And he sat like that and chanted for, I think 3 or 4 days. By the 4th day, he was calm, little bit peaceful. And then he got up and went and took a bath, cleaned himself up. And I won't go through all the details. Long story short, he became a pretty big leader in our movement, taking very serious responsibilities. Can you imagine the power of the holy name? And just somebody who's completely in that state of mind to bring them to this thing. Only reason is it was just following instructions, simply sitting and chanting and this thing. Our main process is actually just chanting. But we have to avoid offenses while chanting. Right? Inattentive chanting is the biggest offense that we do, that significantly thwarts our progress in spiritual life. And secondly, you cannot let all these different weeds choke up your bhakti lata bija. If that happens, then you're putting a lot of powerful if the bhakti lata bija, you're putting so much water, you're putting fertilizer, all of that is happening. But instead of feeding your devotional creeper, it is feeding all the weeds around it, will choke the bhakti lata and which will shrivel. And on top of that, if you offend Vaishnavas, that is the end of your bhakti lata. offending Vaishnavas is a very, 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 very serious matter. In social situations, sometimes, we have different interactions, we have different things, and you form opinions and you form this and all that. But one cannot let those things come in the way of our fear of offending Vaishnavas. One has to have this healthy fear all the time. A way we can check, in this verse Prabhupada was quoting, how do you check whether you are really advancing in spiritual life? Right? They say one has to become, in this particular verse, in the purport, Prabhupada is quoting something. In the Satam Prasangat verse, Aphavarga Vartmani. We need to see how much we are freed from Bhavarga. Bha, Bhama. Right? Pa is Parishrama. You do a lot of endeavor. So much endeavor that foam comes out of your mouth. Then Vyartatha. So much endeavor, so much things you do, at the end of it, everything is useless. Wasted. Right? You see, how many people put so much of endeavor. At the end of it, everybody finally, when it gets to your old age, everybody is in the same situation. You can't eat anything much, you can't do this thing, you can't sleep properly, your back is hurting, leg is hurting, front is hurting, everything is... This is like, what is the use of all the dramas you did? This thing is all finally comes to nothing. Right? We have to and then what happens? Bhaya. Always constantly in fear. What is happening? What is going to happen? This thing. And then mrityu. So if we are experiencing this bhavargas in any form, then it means that, there is a lot more of cleansing of the heart that needs to happen. And so it's a process. The other thing is the, they say, as you practice spiritual life, you become strong in your mind, but soft in your heart. One has to, if you're truly advancing in spiritual life, both should be happening. One automatically develops a strong mind so that, in this material world, so many ups and downs will be there and so many challenges will be there and all that. How do you maintain equanimity? Bhagavad Gita, so many places, Krishna keeps repeating this concept of equanimity. Sitoshna, Sukha Dukkhada. In all different varieties of situations, how do you maintain this thing? So the only way you can maintain is if you have developed a strong mind. If you are able to make the mind your best friend. And at the same time, soft heart. How you are able to relate and interact with Vaishnavas around us in a most amicable, this thing. How we are if you want to truly advance in spiritual life, take every single opportunity that you get to serve other Vaishnavas. Every single opportunity that you get, every single interaction that you have, just day-to-day things. It's not some big magic thing you have to do. It's about our consciousness of our interaction with this. You cannot expect devotees around you to be perfect. That's not our philosophy. That's not the process. It's not that, okay, I'm only going to associate with Prabhupada, he's a pure devotee. I can't associate with anybody else. That's not our process. Our process is to have the right consciousness of association despite what the external situation is creating. And that's why there are some guidelines on what to do, what not to do. How to deal with situations that are not ideal or difficult or this thing. And that's why ultimately Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sikshashtaka verse we always keep saying, but it's not easy to practice. Trunadapi suni chena tarorapi sahishnina amanina manadina kirtaniya sadahari. Easy to say, but very, very difficult to practice, in reality, in all aspects of our lives. The important thing is that ultimately at the end of it, one has to develop a higher taste, and then automatically the lower taste will go away, right? And it's a transition process. It's always, one should be able to, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when he talks about what devotee should do, sadhana and devotee lifestyle, he would actually encourage devotees to have a little bit time left for introspection of the day. End of the day, just say, how did I spend my day? How much of it was spent in good consciousness? What are different kind of, anarthas that were surfacing during my day, and what can I work on? How much of it was, the different weeds were overpowering the different challenges, were overpowering your consciousness. How much was not? When we spend the time introspecting, then automatically we get the opportunity to say, oh, what can I do different? The focus of association has to be, it's not about what can I change in others, it should be about what can I change in myself. So, if you focus on our internal change, you will see magically external situations will automatically change. We have to focus internally. We have to focus on what aspects of my spiritual life should I improve? How can I work on that? Take every opportunity as a means of advancing. We see in very famous examples like Haridas Thakur, preaching to that prostitute, right? Just by a moment's association. She had come for a different purpose, but she sat over there and just listened to Haridas Thakur chanting, and within 3 nights, she was so purified that she gave up all that. Can you imagine? You're going from being a prostitute, and within 3 days, completely getting purified. Going and giving up all her wealth, donating all her wealth to the Brahmana, shaving her head, and going and sitting in the middle of a hut without thinking about where my food is going to come from, what is going to happen, who is going to protect me, what is it? Nothing. Just implicit faith in Haridas Thakur's words. And she became such a wonderful devotee. Sometimes it seems, wow, just mind-blowing, that these kind of things. But we don't have to do that much. It's good if you can do. But there are practical things we can all do in our own lives to emulate the very same principles. The principles are still the same. The principle is Cheto Darpana Marjanam. The mirror of the heart has to get cleansed. There is no escaping from that process. And the most powerful way of that of that is just to hear to the holy name and in the association of devotees. So we have to take to that a simple process, and then you will see that all the different anarthas we have. You see, these anarthas, the going away of these anarthas, there is a transition that needs to happen. Not everybody can suddenly take to this thing. Like if we say, okay, if we could follow Haridas Thakur's instructions, just say, okay, just sit in a place. Actually, even today, if any one of us decided that I'm going to go sit in a place around the Tulsi and I'm just going to chant 3 lakh times, 192 rounds, 100% you will get the effect and you will become a pure devotee. No question at all. But how many of us have the ability to do that? So we don't have to do some, Prabhupada, our spiritual master has given us a process for this. Just follow that process. Follow the process that will get you day by day, little bit more, you'll get better. And in a very short time, you can become purified. And for this, we have to have implicit faith and develop the right attitude in everything that we do. Ultimately, devotional life Krishna is Bhavagrahi Janardana. Is seeing our bhava. What is our mood with which we are doing anything? Physically you may do something, but if your mood, if your consciousness, if your thoughts are not, attitude of serving Vaishnavas, of serving, Guru and Krishna. How do you serve Guru Krishna? You can't suddenly say, okay, I'm going to go on. What else can you do to serve Guru and Krishna? Okay, fine, you can do deity worship, that you can directly serve Krishna, but how much can you do deity worship? Right? Huh? Following the instructions. And whatever service, each of us have some vasana, we have some liking for something, some this thing. Do that particular service with the mood of, how can this service, through this service, how can I benefit other Vaishnavas? How can I serve other Vaishnavas? In fact, if you're preaching to everybody is a Vaishnava, right? Even a complete a person who doesn't know anything about ISKCON, they're also Vaishnavas in their own, at their level. And so we serve them by giving them the holy name and giving them Prabhupada's books and encouraging them to chant and cooking nice prasadam and having them take some prasadam, right? All these different aspects will help us, advance and, as I said over here, the dirty things within the core of his heart are cleansed away, right? And here particularly it's saying, the one is poor, it is easy to do this, right? Because by force of poverty, you're forced not to be too puffed up and all. But you don't have to. You could be very rich, but if you maintain proper consciousness, you can get the same effect of having proper association with Vaishnavas. In this particular purport, Prabhupada is telling that poor people, just because they are so much in a disadvantaged situation, they easily take advantage of the opportunities of serving Vaishnavas. So ultimately, that is the purifying process, and that will get us closer to Krishna. We'll stop here. Anybody has any quick question or comment? I think the pujaris are not ready yet. Yes, ma'am. So it's a very good question. In the Shastras talk about how we should interact with three categories of people. Somebody who is equal to us, somebody who is much more elevated than us, and then somebody who is who you can clearly see they're not as equal to you. This is not a judgment thing. You should be able to understand, because that's how you have association. Now for somebody who is new to Krishna consciousness and all, and you are a little bit better advanced, they're Vaishnavas, yes, but you give them association instead of taking their association. By telling them, in a nice way, just for example, somebody doesn't know anything, take some nice prasadam and give them. Oh, I made some nice sweet. They don't have to know it's prasadam, but it will have its effect. Right? And you can tell them, we have this nice thing, we do some mantra meditation if they're interested. Oh, just try this. So those are ways of associating with people who are below you. But you should try. That is the whole idea of, association. So there's a way to associate with somebody who's your peer. You have friendship, you have this thing, you have eager to say, how can I serve you? So that, you can serve. That's the mood with which you do. And with senior Vaishnavas, you take association from them. Go with the attitude of humility and say, how can I, get better? Can you please guide me in this? And go with the mood of actually trying to follow their instructions. And through that is why, there is this, we have to understand. Otherwise it's difficult. Okay, we'll stop here. Kantarachimad Bhagavatam ki, Jai Shila Prabhupada ki, Bol Premanante.